I am so excited this morning to be with my friend Kareem Morato. We met at our beloved 2-to-1 conference bunch of years ago now. And just some people are the kind of folks that just make you want to smile. Like Kareem is a make you smile person. She's the one, like when you're talking to her, she says, oh, I have to get you connected with this person and that person, and you won't believe what's happening. So I'm so happy that we can talk.
Gracias. Gracias. Hola, buenos días.
So, Kareem, would you tell us a little bit about your homeschool story? And then we want to talk today about the Hispanic community, the Spanish-speaking homeschoolers that are here in the States now, and the joy of all kinds of homeschoolers being together homeschooling these days.
Well, I am a mom of 3. 2 already are in college. I am originally from Guatemala, and my husband is from Bolivia. So we have a multicultural family here. So one of the things we did, with my husband, when we decided to homeschool, was we want to raise bilingual children. And also, my profession is I am a Spanish teacher. So I basically, in 2014, left the public school system to keep homeschooling my kids because I was homeschooling and I was teaching part-time public school. And then I say, I want to be home full-time, but I still need some income to make it work. And then the idea of me becoming an online Spanish teacher and create curriculum online became a reality for me to keep homeschooling. So I understand what moms and dads have to do to make it work. And so I have been teaching since 2001 and homeschooling my kids since, my first born was 4. And it has been an interesting journey, a lot of ups and downs. But I'm going to tell you something. What had kept me going is just having the homeschool community of making sure like, oh my goodness, now I'm not just teaching public school, I'm teaching homeschoolers how to speak Spanish. So it became like a 3-dimensional homeschooling journey for me. And then HSLDA came to me and say, we need help reaching out the Hispanics community. And these are parents that are Hispanics that live in this country. Now we are also reaching international. And then I jump into being an ambassador for homeschooling in the Hispanic world. And that has completely changed my life. I'm glad that you and I connected prior to HSLDA.
Yes. It's so cool because with HSLDA's resources, you guys can have conferences in Spanish.
Yeah, the Spanish resources are doubling, prior to the first year. And people need to know about homeschooling, about the impact that's in a child's life. And I am very passionate about that. It has impacted my family, my children. So, and in your head, it's like, oh my goodness, it's the first thing that you see when you're homeschooling is your limitations and you don't see your kids' potential. So I did some mindset. So again, that language barrier, I don't see that as a limitation. I see as an opportunity. And this is why I am passionate about teaching students how to speak Spanish, how to learn Spanish better, and telling parents, just because you don't speak English doesn't mean that you cannot educate bilingual children.
Yeah, and that one of the things I appreciate about your online curriculum is you have 2 gifts here to share. One is you're bilingual yourself, but 2 is you have a master's in curriculum, and so the art of and skill of teaching, and the heart of homeschooling, and you are a bilingual role model for our kids. So we'll put links to your website for homeschool Spanish. Let me get the right name because I always make up my own name. So Spanish homeschool curriculum, and we'll put links in the comments.
Yes. So I founded Spanish Education and Solutions in 2014. Then I created like a second arm, which is Spanish Homeschool Curriculum.
Yes. We wanted to talk a little bit about the Hispanic community that's homeschooling and kind of bring it in for all of us homeschoolers, how we can be more culturally educated, understand our brothers and sisters who have Spanish as a first language. Let's start with, can you kind of describe the homeschool Hispanic community these days?
Today we in the United States, and I think it's important for us to understand that the Hispanic community is huge. So if you are looking for a reason to learn Spanish, it's because there are millions of millions speaking Spanish.
Yes.
It is all around the world. And I think that it's important to understand that when people come to this country, just like me, I came to this country 30 years ago, you're thinking, I'm moving, I'm leaving my family, I'm leaving my country, I'm leaving everything behind. I'm just
Yeah.
bringing a suitcase maybe because I want a better future. So
Yeah.
I think that it's important to put the human part about why people leave their country. So in this country, you will find many different layers and generations of Hispanics. Like I am first generation, right? And first generation Spanish people, we focus on making sure we start all over. We start building legacy, right?
Yeah.
So we're working hard. We have not
Yeah.
maybe time to study. I had time to study because my husband and my family were very supportive and they believe in
Yeah.
my potential. It's like, you
Yeah.
go to school and you learn everything that you can. That's how I have my master's degree. But it's very hard when you're first generation to do that because you're building legacy. And
Yeah.
usually Spanish is your first language. Some people come here bilingual, but the majority come here to learn the language for the first time. So these parents are going to need more holding. Like if they want to do homeschooling, they maybe don't understand how the educational system works. Maybe don't understand if homeschooling is legal. So there is
Yes.
so many questions and fears that they are facing. So these parents are the ones that we are supporting the most right now because they need all the support, all the help, all the resources they can.
Yeah.
And major curriculums that we have used in English, you and I have used, now
Yeah.
they're translating in Spanish their
Oh
teacher's
my
guide. So
goodness.
BAU, IW, classical conversation, all of these curriculums,
Yeah.
and there are so many other curriculums that are making the resource bilingual so
Yeah.
parents can understand what is about it. We want them to be ready for college. We want them to be educated in English. Now, you may have generational parents that came here, so maybe this is the third generation. They speak English as the first language, and Spanish is the second. What I notice with these parents that are second, third generation is that when they see a Hispanic, they're like, oh, so you Spanish, where are you from? So they are so happy to find community because
Yes.
the Hispanic culture is all about community. So these families, they want to claim back their heritage. They are like, my kids don't speak Spanish. I don't know what to do because we speak English only at home because my husband is American. Or they have so many reasons. And I understand because
Yeah.
raising bilingual kids is very difficult. And then you have the Hispanic community that live in their countries that they are
Yeah.
learning about homeschooling. They don't have a language issue. Our parents from Puerto Rico, they are territorial of the United States. They speak Spanish. They are educating in Spanish, but they
Yeah.
also want to educate bilingual kids. They want the kids maybe to come to college and learn and do English. So it's a very complex community, Vicky.
Yes. Yeah. So tell me some things are special about the Hispanic homeschool community and the culture and values.
Oh, we are family first. Like we, no matter what. And sometimes that's obviously a huge value that we have because we are used to be very multi-generational connected. So
Yeah.
it's not new, for example, or uncommon that in the same house you have grandma, aunt, uncle, or close by. We are very close. We celebrate things together. Everything is birthdays are together, even though your kid is only 2 years old. My kids scratch their head. It's like it's a birthday party for a 5-year-old. Why do we have 30 adults in the party? So it's very
Yeah.
family oriented. We really treasure life. So when you see grandma, abuelito, abuelita, they are huge part. They don't become old. They become more important. We treasure them. We are like, how do we gonna take care of abuelo, abuela? So as you can see, we are very family oriented, and I think that many parents, this is why homeschooling is being so attractive to them because they are
Yes.
thinking, wow, we can actually build our family in a very
Yeah.
different way.
That is beautiful. If you had a kid in your Spanish online class and the mom comes to you and says, how can I help my English speaking child have more cultural awareness? What would be some things that you would suggest?
So the first thing I will say, look at Spanish not as a subject, but as a human skill.
Oh my
You
gosh.
learn.
Oh, you just like made my whole day. Say it again.
The learning language, learning
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, even
Mm-hmm.
if you're learning a foreign language, you don't look at that as a academic subject. You have to look at that as a human skill, life
Yes.
skill that
Mm-hmm.
you are doing because you want to connect to people. We learn a foreign language because we
Yeah.
want to connect with the person. And
Yeah.
sometimes, that's one of the first shocks that my students have, especially teenagers. They are afraid to speak because they don't want to sound in their heads. They're like, we are
Mm-hmm.
16 and they're speaking
Yeah.
like a 1 year old, right? So
Yes.
there is so many components when you are exposing your child to the language that is not just intellectual, it's also
Mm.
emotional, it's
Yeah.
also identity, how they look, how they sound. And so you have to have a little bit of a balance between, okay, can we make this learning not so foreigner?
Yeah.
I'm using teenagers because I know that you have a huge audience that are
Mm-hmm.
teens. Teens love to eat. So if
Mm-hmm.
you introduce the culture with food, they love
Yes.
it. They love the whole experience because it's something that is relevant. Another thing
Yeah.
is, you as a parent, you need, for a teen, you need to make sure that what they are learning, even though it's in Spanish, is relevant, right?
Yeah.
I have an
Mm-hmm.
elementary program. My elementary kids, when I ask them, what is your favorite topic learning from my elementary program? They tell me the colors, the pets, the animals, because we have
Yeah.
an animal. The teen will never say the colors, the pets, or the animals, but the topics of a program for a team has to be relevant to them because it
Yes.
has to be like why I'm doing this. And the
Mm.
parent can say, yes, we're learning this so you can focus in connecting, maybe traveling in the future, going to eat, connecting with families in the neighborhood, but
Mm-hmm.
also to say, because maybe your career, you never know what you're going to be ended up doing. And having a second language is a plus.
It definitely is. And one of my hats that I wear outside of homeschooling is career coaching. And what we're finding more and more is when folks go into their interview and can say that they're bilingual, they are automatically ahead of the list on
Yes.
the qualifications because in our world is international now. Everything is connected. Companies are sourced all over the world, and so especially with Spanish, that is just an open door. So
Yes, there is right now this word cultural intelligence. It's a huge
mm-hmm,
word in our
mm-hmm,
field
yeah,
because employers and companies want to know that you are aware that you are not the only culture in the world,
yeah,
that you know how to relate to others, that you know
yeah,
how to be aware of it, right? And
yes,
and that's so important, Vicky. Thank you for asking that question. That was a really
yeah,
good question.
yeah. There's not one right way to homeschool, and there's not one kind of homeschooler. I love when we have the opportunity to broaden our kids' experiences and to bring everybody together, like, oh, we are homeschooling as a big, big community of all kinds of peoples.
And
Mm-hmm.
you are, I think, one of the few organizations that I know that intentionally go and look for people that don't
Mm-hmm.
think like you, look like
Mm-hmm.
you, sound like you. I'm pretty sure I don't sound like you, but but I appreciate that. So I appreciate that
Yeah.
because you are really enriching your community.
Yeah, it has been a heart for all of us to be together and not isolating ourselves from each other. Homeschoolers of all flavors can have a multicultural human skill by teaching our kids, like giving them bilingual experiences. So learning Spanish and other languages. My daughter, she's grown up now, but she learned sign language as one of her languages in high school, and
So
just because she
important.
wanted to. And she only knew the basics, but she was working her little high school job as wait staff at the local Christian retreat center. And a
Mhm.
family that was deaf came in and sat down at her table, and she was able to sign the thing with them, and they glowed. And she was so
Mm.
happy that she had that skill that she was able to offer that welcome, to them.
Of
So
course,
it's
it's like they're saying, somebody see me,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
somebody is acknowledging that I'm here. So
yeah,
imagine, parents, when your children, when your teens are able to see a Hispanic person say
yes,
at least hola, ¿cómo
yeah,
estás? ¿Cómo te llamas?
yes.
That really makes Hispanics be like, wow, that's special.
Yes. Yes. I'm so excited about what he does. So, okay, let's tell folks how to connect with you on the online courses, but also HSLDAs, because a lot of our listeners are HSLDA members, but never really know all the things that are there.
If you go to HSLDA website, you scroll down all the way in the bottom and you're going to see recursos en español. Then click on it and you're going to see all these landing page with all this information in Spanish and the Spanish team. We're growing. And then also, if somebody wants to know about the law, you tell them visit the website, and when they click on the legal, they click Español, and they will have all the law of every state in Spanish. We also have an international page that they can check it out. And then to check, you can follow me in Instagram, morato.karim. I would love for you to follow me, or also Spanish Educational Solutions. And then we will put the link there. And again, in SpanishEducationalSolutions.com and HomeschoolSpanishCurriculum.com.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kareem. I am so excited we got to talk.
Thank you so much. Gracias.
Gracias.
Adios.